I'm going to go to the back because I haven't done that. Go ahead, Gavin.
Thanks, Corinne. On the 58th anniversary of the Selma to Montgomery March, also known as Bloody Sunday, we know the President Biden will be in Selma on Sunday to give remarks. Last year, Vice President Harris gave remarks and traveled. Why was it important for the President to vote this year? And is there anything you can preview about his speech, whether he'll talk about voting rights or even an issue that's important to the black community, which is the censoring?
And some taxpayers will get a check mailed to them instead. The refund is separate from any money Indiana residents may have received after filing their individual state income tax return. Folks, it is finally happening. President Biden is ready for more stimulus checks to be sent out, and I definitely agree that he could do a better job in helping out the American people with more stimulus payments. If you think that President Biden should send out more stimulus checks this year in 2022, tell me in the comments. Some of the 330,000 Massachusetts residents should expect to receive $500 payments in June. The administration announced that the second round of the Crisis Essential Premium Pay program is about to begin. The amounts to $165 million, funded through federal crisis relief dollars. Checks will be mailed automatically to eligible Massachusetts residents. In the first round of the program in March, distributed $500 checks to about 480,000 people. Officials said that people who received those payments are not eligible for this latest stimulus funding. Also not eligible are those who received unemployment benefits in 2021 or a crisis relief linked payment from the Massachusetts state government as their employer. The Baker administration will gauge eligibility for the program's second based on 2021 tax returns. The criteria encompasses individuals who earned at least $13,500. And according to state officials, that equates to a maximum income threshold for a single filer of $38,000. The maximum threshold is $52,000 for a household of two. Now, the program's website states that payments are not subject to state income tax, but they may be to federal income tax. There are also about 300,000 lower and middle income families in Connecticut stated to receive $250 per child tax rebate this summer. The rebates are part of the $663 million in tax relief included in a state budget that the governor recently signed into law and is touting as part of his re-election campaign. The governor said during a press conference, "I'm going to do everything I can to make Connecticut the most family-friendly state in the country." Republicans are equating the checks, which are expected to go out in late August, with the income tax rebates that the governor gave out in 1998, which Democrats criticized at the time as election year handouts. In recent years, Democrats led by Representatives have tried to establish a new child tax credit in Connecticut, but the effort has so far failed. Connecticut is among nearly 3 dozen states that are seizing on flush budget coffers to provide tax relief to their residents, to ease the burden of record high inflation. Republicans have said that the relief doesn't go far enough, while Democrats are pointing to federal rules that limit the amount of tax cuts that states, which use the crisis relief money to balance their budgets, can provide. The U.S. economy is far better shape than it was at the onset of the crisis 2 years ago. GDP growth is up significantly, and many workers, especially lower earners, have seen a boost in wages, though the effect of this has been tempered by recent inflation. 2 years ago, the new crisis and ensuing economic effects created much more uncertainty in the economy, with spiking unemployment and entire sectors of the economy shutting down. In response, the federal government stepped in with unprecedented levels of financial relief to U.S. households and the economy, and that was in 3 major stimulus packages. One of the signature components of Congress's economic relief effort was a series of stimulus payments made to U.S. households. U.S. Census survey data from July 2020 said the payments were significant. Now, payments are starting to get sent out this week to many.
Community colleges and educational institutions in general play a very, very important role. We have an opportunity now for millions of people throughout the United States who don't have college degrees to actually get good paying jobs in advanced manufacturing, in clean energy, in infrastructure, in a whole host of industries that are going to allow them to build their way to the middle class. And so having multiple pathways to that is very, very important. Working at the high school level so that young people can think about what opportunities.
President and his administration in efforts to save Social Security and help save recipients. But with the recession looming, many say it's a bad idea. As with the Old Age and Survivors Insurance Trust Fund depletion it faces 2023 reports, the president has suggested that some are calling for a sweeping 4-point plan to bolster funds in the trust. The plan would also help the $22 trillion funding shortage shown in the 2023 Trustees Report if the federal government cannot fix the shortage. It could result in benefits cutting up to 24% of retirees, beginning in 2033. while some of Biden's proposed changes will affect the high earners and company executives. Those who have retirement savings plan on potentially hiring than the average American. Some will affect the middle and low income wage earners. Analysts have also noted that it will especially affect those who may rely on Social Security benefits in the future. Currently, any earned income below 160 grand is subject to a payroll tax. Earning exceeding that amount are not subject to any taxes. Biden plans to tax the earned income above 400 grand, leaving wages above 160 grand, up to 400,000 untaxed. Each year, Social Security benefits are addressed and based on inflation adjusted through a cost of living allowance. Currently, the administration uses this to calculate the COLA, but this doesn't necessarily reflect the lifestyle and expenses of retired people. Shifting COLA calculations to figures tied to the Consumer Price Index for the elderly won't even solve the problem for Social Security running out of money. It could just put more money into the pockets of retired Americans who need it the most. The Primary Insurance Trust Fund is an amount indicating that how much Americans will receive in Social Security benefits. A lot depends on your age, when you began claiming benefits, and your average index monthly earnings. Increasing the primary insurance amount for Americans ages 72 to 82 would help those experiencing and also healthcare. The low-wage earners receive a special minimum benefit regardless of how much they made while they worked. In 2023, a lifetime low working earner would receive $12,000 in Social Security benefits or $1,000 a month. Biden intends to increase the minimum benefit to 125% of the federal poverty level for an individual. An example in 2023 is someone receiving a special minimum benefit will receive $1,500 per month with the boost. However, any Social Security overall plan would require the bipartisan support in Washington, and so far Democrats and Republicans haven't been able to see eye to eye in some ways. But fears of a recession have mounted since the Federal Reserve began hiking interest rates in early 2022. Because according to a chief of economists, although the latest gross domestic product figures indicated growth, a recession could still be imminent. With rampant inflation, Americans are grappling with wages that struggle to keep up with the rising cost of living and things like this. But just about 28% of people say they approve of a fourth stimulus check.
We've all seen content creators.
Do you agree with this, everybody? Tell me in the comments down below. So will you be receiving a stimulus check this month? I know that's the question that many of you want to be answered. Listen to this. You are eligible to receive more stimulus checks from a new federal program. This is really great because it's going to help so many people that are financially struggling due to the crisis. So remember folks, on this channel, I always do my very best in providing you with the most up-to-date and reliable stimulus check and Social Security news. So it really means a lot to me if you could subscribe to the channel.
An executive order to ensure that the federal government puts you, the American people, at the front of the line and for first in everything we do. I'm directing 17 agencies here to focus on more than 30 key areas to make it easier to apply for services and benefits that they're entitled to, they paid for, theirs, their government.
Now back to the breaking news, folks. The Restaurant Meals program also covers people with disabilities and people experiencing homelessness. The program is most widely available in California.